Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or however you listen to this, morning, day, afternoon, night. Welcome to another episode of Fast Break. I'm on half of the co-host, Davidson Crooks, Duntarius. How you doing tonight, sir?
Everything is solid, man. How's everything going with you? I'm just getting ready for the great, exciting news that we had to drop tonight.
Yes, sir. Everything's going well for me. I'm still doing wedding planning and stuff like that. I'm about 12 days away from that day. So I've been busy with that stuff.
But great time coming up in 2 weeks for you.
Yes, sir. I'm hoping it gets done and over with, so I'll be done with it. No more planning, no more people bothering me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty busy as well. You got a lot of people calling your phone, I'm sure.
Yeah, that is true. And everybody want their input to what to do and what to help. But, it is. I mean, that comes with the territory. But, D-Lock, besides my wedding coming up, you know what else is coming up next month? The NBA is back.
Yeah.
And if y'all don't know, the NBA Board of Governors has voted to bring back the NBA for 22 teams. It's what we talked about last week, D-Log, is like there was stories about this, there was rumor about this, about the 22 league team. And, what we discussed last week, they did the vote and they approved it. So what are your thoughts, the league coming back? Your quick initial thoughts. What's your thoughts on that and everything?
Honestly, I think it may sound kind of wild for me to say, and I'm pretty sure we had a couple of fans earlier asking us about this when the news dropped, and I wanted them to actually tune in with without me telling them how I felt on Twitter. But I think that this is more about money. And the reason why is because the timing of it and how they're putting the time they want to start the season, the time they're willing to push back the next season. Like, they did this because they feel as if, okay, we know players have been training and trying to get, they won a championship, but they don't want to miss another season because of what it can do financially to the league. Now, I know the league does have a lot of money, but at the same time, you got to think about what we've heard all year long about AD and LeBron coming together and what they can put together, what we heard about Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So we hear all this news out throughout the season. It's kind of hard to just let it end on that. Well, the reason why we can't finish and find out who a champ is because of, this coronavirus or whatever. Now, also what happens is with AD and LeBron in the same building with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, is ticket sales. They rise. So anytime they go to these different games, I remember trying to go to a Magic and Lakers game, and let me tell you, the price difference between that game and let's just say, I think the difference between that game and the Brooklyn games was over $200 difference.
Oh, yeah.
At the same seat. So this is a lot about what they can financially bring in. And for me, it's not a bad idea, but it's just the breakdown of now you have to make sure that now you have to figure out a way to finish the season and get ready for next season. They pushed the next season back 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that next year, are we still ending in June or are we ending in October from now on? So it's going to be very interesting. Now to correctly say it, it's about August to October, right? For this year.
Yeah. the NBA on Thursday, the NBA Board of Governors approved a deal, for the teams to return, for the 22 teams to return play starting July 31st at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex in Orlando, Florida. So, they get the 2 weeks of training camps beforehand. They start, to play July 31st. They'll end in October. So they getting it in. I mean, I'm surprised, what we discussed, last week, and a couple people brought up in the chat, the NHL, they decided to call the season and just go straight to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, I think we talked about this leading up to this vote. Like, I say go ahead and get your playoffs done and see how things play out in the world and stuff like that. COVID situation, these protests that's going around the country and the destruction, all that and chaos that brought. And then fair game plan for them. But, doing this way, you kind of, I won't say taking people out of their, rhythm, but, guys like LeBron, Kawhi that's been used to, being prepped by mid-October to get the season started.
Yeah.
Now you're getting them, depending if they make the finals or not, not a lot of time to prepare for next season or rest up, which a lot of these NBA guys covet.
Yeah.
For the teams that didn't make this, condensed season, a team like the Warriors kind of, really benefit from that because everybody was hurt just to a degree.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting just because the fact is, I mean, this is so big of a deal. It's so damn big. The fact that Kevin Durant had to actually come out and say that he's not returning this year. That's how big this was. So it's so much of a pushback and so big of a priority to a lot of people that they're even quite, like I said, come on now, they're talking about, they're pushing this back so far now getting it started. Kevin Durant is probably going to be 100% around, let's say, what time he got hurt last year? Maybe sometime around mid-June, maybe around mid-May.
Yeah.
So, yeah, by the time August comes around, this dude probably cannot necessarily be in the best shape of his life, but he can be in a pretty decent shape to where he can play, he can be monitored on minutes. So if they really wanted to, they can push that. And that was a question that was, asked, because the fact is, because you pushed it back, these are the opportunities that have risen. So it's like, it just seems as if, to me, the NBA was reaching a little bit. The fact that they feel like they can't afford to miss a season. Now this is gonna be the first time we've seen NBA and NFL in the same season. So just think about how it's gonna go as far as ticket sales. Like, is this a move that NBA is gonna keep moving towards? Is this gonna be a move that they say, you know what, this didn't work out as we planned? It's going to play a huge part. Now, obviously, NBA runs through December, or the NFL, I'm sorry, runs through December. But it's just the fact that part of the NFL season is going to be more so NBA now, a little bit more. And in the fact it's in the beginning compared to it being a little bit in the end. Like, you got NFL fans who can't wait till football season come around. So, even though they are fans of the NBA, you may have some of those fans from the NBA switch to the NFL, get more attention, or maybe fans that buy tickets to NFL games compared to NBA. And also the fact that it is in one city. So it's not LA versus Phoenix and Phoenix or whatever. It's all in Orlando. So it's interesting how they're going to map it out. even the team that wins the championship this year, there's going to be so many questions behind it. There's going to be asterisk. Not necessarily asterisk for bad reasons, but more so the fact that the season went how it went. So now you're going to have 2 or 3 years, 4, 5, 10 years from now, 20, 50 years. Well, this season went like this because of the corona. What if it was different? Do we see different results? Like there are going to be a lot of different questions that come with this year's NBA champ. So I just, NBA is going to be cool. I mean, it's good for a lot of people. And also now, like I was telling one of my buddies, I told you that I do a lot of FanDuel. So come August, we're back on FanDuel.
Oh yeah,
right, for the NBA. So that's not bad, but it's just that's one of the positive things that come with the sport coming back. So I mean, it's not bad. I'm excited for it, but it's just the approach that I think they had was more business related or more financially related.
Yeah, I mean it's money, and we talk about the money aspect before. Like some of these owners during this tough time right now, these very wealthy owners have taken a hit depending on what kind of business they're in. Like Mickey Arison with Carnival, Tillman Fertitta with the restaurant business and the casinos and stuff like that. But it came down to money, and make sure these guys get their payments, all that good stuff. They had to ask the players, if will this season be okay, which they approved, and there's like a lot of factors that played into it, and for me, I'm curious how things will go. I'm curious, who's ready.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. Like, who still got the drive? Because, from March to now, to like the end of July, that's a lot of time off to be, just off chilling at home, doing quarantine and stuff like that. And sometimes being in your house, stuff like that, you pick up lazy habits. Yeah. I'm not saying all these guys do, but you never know.
I mean, you heard what they said about Jokic. They say apparently Jokic didn't have abs before. He's been working out, so now that he does have abs, so now they're saying that he's in better shape. Basically, is what that means. So I'm pretty sure there are some guys that are working out, some guys that are not. Some guys are still shooting. As you sent me about Trae Young, Trae Young is going to these different leagues and getting the shots in and doing whatever he can. I thought it was unfair because he is who he is, but it's not about the name. I guess it's more so about we're getting this same workout in throughout this process because you don't know when the season is going to come back. And when it does come back, you don't want to hear that excuse that, well, since we had this time off, this is what happened. I think that, and you tell me what you think about this, even though this is kind of off, but I think that Kawhi has no reason to take any games off later on this season. He's had all these months, all this time to take off whatever he needs. So, taking the day off, taking this day off or whatever, these small, I guess, slight injuries, there's no reason for those now.
Yeah, because I want to ask you this, because going back to last year's finals, I don't know if you know this or not, but he was kind of, as great as he played, he was playing, he was kind of gimpy in that series against the Warriors.
Yeah.
And it kind of carried over to this season, and he's still missing games here and there. Like you just brought up, like, hopefully from this time, he rested up pretty good, rehab or whatever he had to do, and come back and be that dude again. You know, he should not miss no games from here on out, or how long they last, up to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason. I mean, right now, like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, we know he takes the games off and stuff like that, but again, like I said, now a lot of these things are going to be very interesting that we're going to see finishing out this season. He has his back injury or back soreness or leg soreness or shoulder soreness. There's no reason for any of that. Now, honestly, if he is that player that is usually sore from a couple games that he needs that day off, it's going to affect him in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So now the real question is, how bad is the soreness to where are you seriously going to take off a playoff game? Or did you play this game throughout the soreness? So all of these questions are going to be answered, with this next process as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how he approaches it, because it seems like, like we seen about the last game, the last dance with Jordan. Jordan will go game in and game out and perform every game. Yeah. Kawhi Leonard is doing something similar, but he's not doing it every game. Kawhi Leonard look at the schedule and say, okay, well, we have 3 games or 4 games this week. I see 2 games that are important and maybe 2 that's in LA. I'm going to play those 2 games and give you guys like 30, 40 points, have a really good game, and then take the next 2 games off. You can't do that in a series.
Yeah.
So what we usually see from Kawhi, what we seen last year, is, okay, well, I'm going to take off 1 game out of 3, 2 games out of 5, or whatever, and then the playoffs come, I'm going to go hard every game. Well, now you've had all this time off. Now, in this part of the season, I mean, what are you taking off? There's nothing for you to take off. I mean, you can, but if you do miss any of time, you miss 1 playoff game. That's it. If they're going against the Lakers, there's no reason for him to take off 1 game. So it's going to be interesting, man. That's what all these questions, all these different exposures, a lot of things are going to happen with this new approach to the NBA season, or finishing the NBA season.
Before we move forward, I'd like to bring up the 22 teams that are going to be in Orlando. The Eastern Conference, we got the Milwaukee Bucks as the number 1 seed so far. Toronto, number 2. Boston, number 3. Miami, number 4. Indiana, number 5. Philly, number 6. Brooklyn, number 7. Orlando, number 8. And number 9, Washington. So that's for the Eastern Conference side. D-Lock, who do you see, like, the time off from here, from March to now, which teams do you see benefiting from that time off in the East to try to make a push for the championship and for the playoffs?
Honestly, I don't see the Bucks going anywhere, but I do see this may be I don't think this is a sleeper team, but I think the 76ers heal up over all of this. I think this is a chance for them to make the move to that next. Question. What do you think if you had the Bucks and the 76ers fully healthy? Who do you win? Who do you have win that series out of 7?
Out of 7, I'll take the Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very close. I think X factors are Joel Embiid and Giannis. But Ben Simmons is an X factor. So I may have to take the 76ers in 7.
Ooh.
Fully healthy. Yeah. It's tough, but who's going to stop Joel Embiid? Like, fully healthy? Like, I'm really trying to sit here and think, okay, if you have Joel Embiid is he's like a top 5 player in the league right now. Like, we know that. If you get him fully healthy, I don't think Ben Simmons changes his I don't think his shooting changes drastically. but it's the fact that Joel Embiid is a generational player to me. He can be. Let me say that he can be. I know the Bucks are deep, but in a 7-game series, if you give me a full Joel Embiid throughout 7, they made a couple moves out of Alex Burks, so they have some shooters. Tobias, I'd probably have to take the 76ers. So that's just me. I think that the 76ers benefit the most, and it's because their key players need to get healthy. Like, they need to now. If I was in the Raptors, I think it's no question it's the Raptors. But I have to take the 76ers. I have to. I just think that they're in a prime position where they got Brook Lopez to get killed by Joel Embiid. Like, that's not a match. I think Ben Simmons' defense is just his defense is there. I think this whole team's defense is pretty much there. And they added those trading pieces, with Alex Burks. Who else they got? They got one more person from there I can't think of right now. So
they got Alex.
Yeah, it's somebody else. Alex Burks. They traded for somebody else. They got Milton. They got somebody else. The other guard. I cannot think of his name right now.
Was it Glenn Robinson?
I cannot think of his name. From Glenn Robinson. Glenn Robinson, and they got your boy from Miami.
Oh, you're talking about Josh Richardson, right?
Josh Richardson, yeah. So they got all these pieces, and they're pretty deep. Now, Milwaukee is deep, but I think that their energy relies on one person. If you slow down Giannis, this team doesn't look the same. So, and Eric Bledsoe he's one of those, he have a good game 1 and game 2, he's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So, I think that for me, if you give them fully fresh, I would have to take 76ers, and I think they benefit the most because health is what the playoffs is all about. And if you have that, now this rotation is a lot easier. You get up a game or two, you put that team in a different category, because when the Bucks and the Raptors played, Marc Gasol played a huge part. Now we know Giannis is going to be Giannis, but Marc Gasol really kind of dominated a little bit more. Brook Lopez didn't play a huge part. So I'd have to take the 76ers to benefit the most.
I gotta disagree on you on that. If the Bucks and the Sixers meet, I gotta take Milwaukee. And one reason why, with me, is coaching.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Budenholzer, in a game of chess against Mike Brown, who we've seen have the world, I don't say had the world in his hands per se, but he has had multiple chances to get his team over the hump, but some reason or other, is just at certain situations they don't click. And, this past offseason, signing Al Horford, in which on paper looks pretty good, but it hasn't really,
panned out.
Really panned out. And, on a side note, I know Al Horford don't like playing the 5, but, he's a 5.
Yeah.
And I wish he should have accepted that, but that's part of one of the reasons why he went to Philly, to be that 4-man. But his best position has always been the 5. But getting that out of the way, I think this comes down to coaching between those two teams.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's very true.
And I think Budenholzer can, scheme and get a couple things go his players' way to get over the hump against the Sixers if they meet up in the 7-game series. I think that's what that series comes down to, coaching. Because, you mentioned about nobody holding Embiid and stuff like that. Yeah, he do circles around Brook Lopez, but you also got the brother there as well, Robin as well. who's like the more aggressive one of the two. So you got 6 fouls between those guys. And then you throw in like Ilyasova, at Embiid, Marvin Williams, DJ Wilson, who really ain't played much since he been drafted in the league. But you can throw a lot of guys in Embiid and stuff like that and hope for the best. Now, you brought up Eric Bledsoe, and you're right. Last year playoffs, he really didn't make a dent for that team.
Yeah.
And you will hope a Ben Simmons or Brett Brown kind of recognize that and kind of take advantage of that. Well, this guy, he's okay, but I mean, if we focus our energies here and there and stuff like that, we may come out on top. But you brought up, like, Giannis is that dude. And I think he alone, I think he'll be enough to, along with coaching, get them over the hump. Get them over the hump if they have a potential matchup between each other. But that's how I see that if that matchup comes to fruition.
Yeah. It's tough because, like, all of these teams are going through the same thing. I would love to say my Magic, but I don't. The Magic are going to be who they are, right? Yeah. There's not many differences that they can make right now. I think we're pretty healthy. I mean, Jonathan Isaac could come back, but I think he got hurt later on in the season.
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to see him. I think we lost somebody else. I think Alpha Reed got hurt as well. So if I really had to pick a team that would benefit the most from this break on the East, it would have to be the 76ers, just for injury, to get prepared. So I can't even think on the West, dude, you can't even say, and you'll give me the numbers of those teams, but you can't even say the Clippers. I mean, they take off the days they want. So this is not going to make a big difference for them, I don't think. I would say more so the Lakers than the Clippers.
Well, to stay on the East before we go to the West, I think one player that will kind of benefit from this break, Victor Oladipo.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And you think about that, you're right.
And,
right.
Indiana sitting at 5th. I think that's a team. That's a player that benefits, staying, relatively healthy, rehab himself during this time period off. And I think that's one guy, if he comes back, I think Indiana be a solid team. And, if Miles Turner can find himself from this time period that they've been off and get back to focus and being the ball player they think he is, that's a sneaky team to watch out for.
Yeah. He told us on Undisputed. That's what he said on Undisputed. He said it.
And we do got to mention this. Kyrie and KD will not be back in this season, abbreviated season. So we got to put that out there. KD has come out and said, hey, I won't be back for the abbreviated season. So that's that. I don't think Kyrie will be back in time. So those two guys are gone. So I put that report out there to say that. But I want to ask you this before we get to the West, before we break and go to the West. Do you see a benefit in Washington being this?
No. No. No, hell no. For what?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I bet you those dudes probably
They bet all putting Atlanta in there.
I was like, hell, I bet you those dudes were sitting at home thinking like, damn, we got to go out and play.
I'm trying to tell you, the only person that probably, well, I can't even say the only person that probably, a person I know that probably was ready for the season to end was Bradley Beal.
Mm-hmm.
Because he probably needs the rest out of everybody. Now, I ain't going to lie. If let's just say that for some reason, some people was like, hey, let's do a fantasy league for this little bit of the NBA season. The person that you need to get number one overall is Bradley Beal. Because if the Wizards are going to play, he's probably going to do the same thing he was doing before. So I don't know what they're thinking. Atlanta coach, can't think of his name right now. He wanted to get back into the league as well, but you're trying to play them for what? Like, I know you're talking about chemistry, but they can do that in the gym. Unless you're willing to give them checks and you know that's what it's going to take. But, come on now. With things going on, it's better just to have the 8 teams, which is what I thought they would do.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think it's kind of. I mean, I know they want to come back just for that repetition and stuff like that, and keep that chemistry together. But in the long run, when next season starts back up in December, it's better to have you guys healthy, like a Clint Capella that you have yet to see in uniform and who's injured when you acquired him. That extended time period off, I think that greatly benefit them for the long run.
Yeah.
So that's how I see that, the East, shaking out. But before we move forward, here at IE Sports Radio, we have a host of shows that is for everybody's interest. Starting tomorrow, we do have at 5 p.m. Set Point with Terrian Rodriguez. Is a show about all things volleyball. And this week, Terrian welcomes Long Beach State's assistant men's volleyball coach, McKay Smith. That's
huge.
Yeah, that's huge. And Terrian's been on a roll here lately getting these guests on the volleyball world. So please check that out tomorrow at 5 p.m. Then at 7 p.m., let's whine about sports with Mike Pat. Mike Pat just talks about anything or everything. So tune into him at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Then at 8:30, The Unfiltered Truth with Phil Jones and Phil Robinson III. If you're a Raiders fan,
that's who you need to tune into. You and John Gruden.
Yeah, if you're a Raiders fan, straight Raiders fan, won't just eat, breathe, sleep, crap Raiders football from the days from Oakland to LA, now to Las Vegas. These guys right here, they're y'all bread and butter.
Yep.
And heck, yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're still salty about Antonio Brown.
Oh, ooh, yeah. Well, yeah, all that money and draft picks too. Yeah, they still salty about that. So if you're all things Raiders, you're a Raiders fan, check them out. Then on Tuesday, 9 p.m., Gloves Off with Marcus Loves Great. All things boxing and MMA, with boxing kind of, getting the flow of things, and MMA, still in full swing, UFC mainly. Marcus is your guy for all things news for MMA and boxing. So check him out on Tuesday night.
They just say something about Conor McGregor retiring, right?
Oh, yeah. He'll be back. Don't worry.
So I'm pretty sure Marcus is going to go over that.
Yes.
Big time.
And then plus he'll do a recap of this past weekend's UFC 250. So please tune in for that. But D-Lock, the Western Conference, and I think maybe besides Milwaukee Bucks, I think we kind of agree that the champion may be coming out west. But it seems like it might be a little bit of a dogfight, coming out the west. So the teams that will be in the abbreviated season are the Los Angeles Lakers, the LA Clippers, the Denver Nuggets, the Utah Jazz, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, the Dallas Mavericks, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Portland Trailblazers, who, by the way, voted no against this abbreviated season.
Yes, I know. I know. I have an idea who voted no, who had them helping to vote no.
Yep. The New Orleans Pelicans, who the league is still trying to shoehorn Zion and crew in the playoffs. The Sacramento Kings, I don't know why. The San Antonio Spurs and the definitely Phoenix Suns, I don't know why, but this is where we at in the Western Conference. Minus the Minnesota Timberwolves and Golden State Warriors. But before we talk about the playoff teams, D-Lock, for Minnesota and Golden State, mainly Golden State, how great does this benefit them down the line? Come next season, come December, they get everybody back healthy and stuff like that. How do you, like, if you're running a team for Golden State or San Francisco, how you want to word them, how do you view this for your team for this long 7-month off season to a degree? How do you view that for them?
I'm not gonna lie. I think that the way the season went, this is like, okay, so this is one of the seasons that we've seen the Warriors just look completely terrible. Like everything just fell apart for them after Katie left, right?
Yep.
This feels like, I don't know if it was Steve Kerr. I don't know if it was not Jared West. I don't know if it was Draymond. I don't know who the hell it was that was in their office, their front office or whatever. But it seems like they went to, you remember playing Nintendo, and they just pressed the reset button on the season. And the reason why is because this season is like not a regular NBA season, right? So like I said earlier, there's going to be asterisks to who won and why they won. But as far as what we remember, the dynasty for the Warriors was still going until this year. So they were still looking like a team that was the top of the West. It just came from the NBA Finals last year. So with this season going how it went, Klay Thompson already ended the season with the ACL injury, Kevin Durant leaving, then Steph Curry gets hurt. Like, they got a great piece in Eric Pascal. I believe they got Cauley-Stein as well. Not Cauley-Stein, I'm sorry. I can't think of his name right now, the center. What's his name? That's with Draymond. They got those two. They got a couple pieces that they're building upon for the future. So for me, I feel like this is the great time for them to focus on the future. Simple. They get the chance to, hey, all right, let's get back, let's get healthy. We didn't win the championship this year. We were not in this spot to be able to do that. But by next year, with Eric Pascal having a little bit more experience, Kyle Bowman coming into his own, Andrew Wiggins, who's just getting there, the trade family is going to be a great player for them. Klay Thompson is going to be back. They still got the pieces. So this team is not going to be at the bottom of the barrel. Now, to be honest, I don't think that this Warriors team is better than the Clippers or the Lakers. So I can see them getting third at best in the West moving forward. The Port Trailblazers, we'll touch on them, but they're just such a disappointment right now. But they should be up there as well. But moving forward, the Warriors are in a prime position to get back to that dynasty mindset that they had.
I think the 7-month layoff, it will be great for them. You get extended rest time for Klay Thompson. You make sure Steph Curry gets all his stuff, his nicks and knacks healed up. Same with Draymond. Same with Andrew Wiggins. And then wherever your draft pick lands, and I think this is kind of key about the draft. Who do you bring in? Do you go for need and go for a big man like a James Wiseman, Do you take one?
Yeah.
Do you take a combo guard like a LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards out of Georgia? God, I think this is kid out of Croatia, something like that. Who's like a 6'10" forward? Do you take a chance on him? His name slips by me at the moment. You know, who you bring in with those other four guys will be kind of key. You know, how you revamp your season. Now in the chat, D-Log asking, will Golden State be back in the mix for the championship next year?
Of course, I think so, and I think the reason why is because they're going to draft somebody else in the draft that's going to fit their mold. They already have. Steph came back. He was on a minutes restriction, right? He came back on a minutes restriction. Yeah. So imagine him coming back next year. Now I'm still trying to see where does Andrew Wiggins kind of fit. But the fact that Spellman is there, Klay Thompson, Pascal, Marquise Christmas, who I was talking about earlier, they have a few pieces that will make a big difference. Now the West is pretty deep, but we are talking about the Warriors. We are talking about the Splash Brothers. Let's not forget what they were before Kevin Durant got there. So I do think that we see a difference within of them next year. I think that they are. I cannot put them past the Clippers and the Lakers right now. I just can't. But I do think that they're the third team, under those two.
And I'll finish up with this, for the Warriors, I think, next year, I think they'll be able to prove something to everybody. Because this past year, things just it didn't go their way at all. And I think next year, when they clear their heads and stuff like that, and don't have that much pressure to win another championship. I mean, the pressure will be there, but everybody will kind of like having them down the list of winning the championship, so they can come out and do their thing and be focused for next year.
Yeah.
For Minnesota, real quickly, I don't know which way they go. You've had Towns there for a few years, and you really haven't progressed, done anything. I mean, you made the playoffs once, but that's when you had Jimmy Butler there.
And we know how that turned out.
Yeah, we know how that turned out. And they barely made the playoffs with Jimmy Butler because he missed some games. And now, you almost kind of want, I won't say, you almost want to pinch a hole Karl Anthony Towns and with DeMarcus Cousins to a degree.
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, it just, the Warriors, I'm sorry, not the Warriors. The Wolves seem like they're a team that's just here, right?
Yeah.
They're here in the league, but okay, they have D'Angelo Russell, they have Harden, they have a couple guys. Huncho it stepped up a little bit. They got a couple pieces, but what are they doing with it?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're that team that wants to stay at tier 2 instead of move up into that tier 1 range. I mean, the West is deep, yes, but somebody has to compete with the Lakers. Somebody has to beat the Clippers. Somebody has to play against the Warriors. And this team honestly has a few pieces to do it. It's just that they have to take that step forward. Jarrett Culver is not a bad player. He's pretty solid, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Naz Reid played pretty solid. He stepped up.
Yeah.
You got Karl Anthony Towns. He's probably top 10. Well, not probably. He is a top 10 player in the league, in my opinion. So you got D'Angelo Russell. You have a few pieces that you can build around. It's just about, okay, getting it done. And I honestly think they messed up when they fired Tom Thibodeau. That's just me. I think that Tom Thibodeau is one of those coaches that is a very solid coach that doesn't get the respect that he should, just like Mark Jackson. I think that he is a coach that has an incredible defense, but it's just like I'm trying to see who I can compare him to. It's hard to. He's one of those coaches that when things start to get, go in the right direction, teams or front offices, they give up too soon. So, but I mean, we're in a situation now where you have a couple of pieces. I had people laughing at me when I said that D'Angelo Russell is a franchise player. I think he is. I think he can change the franchise. I really do. It's just now you have him and Karl-Anthony Towns will make it work. I'm not saying that they are the new Kobe and Shaq, but they can be very similar. And if you build around them, you have two pieces that are some pretty solid ass players. Build around them, and find a way to win. The West is tough, but you got one of the best players in the league already on your team at center, and who can do everything. And you got D'Lo, who is damn near one of the top players in the league as well. So it's going to be interesting how it'll go. But when you see a roster like the Wolves, the first thing I think about when they have a bad record is coaching. That's just me. Injuries is later, but I think coaching first. I think coaching is the problem.
I think with the Thibodeau thing, I think with me, for him, it's just like, yeah, he brings you success, but at what cost to a degree? And what I mean by that, he's a guy that is like go, 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 go. And sometimes, he's got to pick and choose, the aggressiveness, the minutes that he plays his guys. It's just like, we've seen the long-term effects of it with like the Jordan Kim Noah, Derrick Rose, Luol Deng, and others. It's like, if he can like kind of tweak a couple things about him, I think he'd be solid. Now, granted, he'll get hired here in his coaching search, here in the off season. But, say, for example, if he gets hired at Brooklyn and, you got guys like Kyrie and Kevin Durant in the fold, are you be pushing those guys, 38 minutes per night?
Yeah, that's true.
And you know how combative, Kyrie can be. Would that be a great mix? And trying to play him X amount of minutes? Will he go for that? So that's that's always been my thing with Tibbs and stuff like that. Sometimes he can scale back this a little bit. Great coach. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I agree with you. Great coach, but just kind of bring it back a little bit. Just a tad. On how you do things. For the other teams, and for the other teams like Sacramento and Phoenix, I don't think they make the playoffs. I don't know why they were invited. I don't know why. So, they could have left them at home and let Devin Booker mess around with the little Kardashian girl.
Yeah, exactly. A little distraction.
But these next sets of teams, San Antonio, New Orleans, Portland. If you had to pick a team between those three, who you see sneaking in the playoffs as an 8th seed? Or maybe a 7th seed?
It goes back to the first question you asked as far as who got the most benefit. I think the most benefit was the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans are the team that get the 8th seed. Portland is already checked out. We already heard what Dame said. after he said that, I wouldn't even have him come to like the facility. So, like that would be my team, because I know the fact is the Pelicans already were waiting. That's another person that got blessed with the scenario that was going on. Is Zion got hurt early. Now he has all this extra time to heal up and do everything he needs to, even get in shape by hearing everything that everybody's been saying. And now he has the opportunity to, play very well and get his minutes raised. So now I think that they could make a move into the playoffs. But that don't mean that they're gonna win the title, but that just means that they're gonna be in the playoffs, which is a huge step for the young group. And they can continue to add pieces on. Like J.J. Redick is gonna be somebody that he's gonna be somebody that's gonna retire soon. So they need to continue getting more shooters to add onto that team. But they're pretty solid. I wouldn't knock them. I think they have a good chance.
I think for me, out of the three teams, if one can make the playoffs, I'll say Portland, and I'll say this: if Damian Lillard comes in focused and comes in the mindset, the comments, him and back and forth, him and Dan Orlovsky had, if he come in, trying to prove something to everybody and not saying he won't be checked out and stuff like that, I think that they can make a run. And I think another thing, that's been talked about here, with the season starting back in July 31st, Zach Collins may potentially return. Yusuf, if I pronounce his name correctly, may be able to return. Yeah. So you got your every two big men back along with Hassan Whiteside. If those guys are ready to go, with your other core guys of Lillard and McCollum, I think you can make that push against Memphis.
Yeah. Definitely can. I think Memphis kind of falls off a little bit, to be honest. I mean, there's no disrespect towards us, but I just think that at some point, the Pelicans, the Pelicans are going to be nasty for years to come. For them to have this little bit of break, I just can't not trust Portland with how Dame went about it. Like, that's like, dude, that breaks up a lot of stuff in your team. Like, not necessarily have people dislike you, but it's just like, every time you're on the court, I'm automatically thinking that you're not 100% in. You're already ready to go home. So why would I expect you to give full effort?
And, the comments he has said, if they start the season, he'll show up, be a supporter of the team, but he won't play. So that's like you mentioned, like, damn, what's your head at right now? And I don't know if you remember this or not, or heard the story, but when LaMarcus Aldridge was with the Blazers, when they lost their series against Memphis years ago, this before he left free agency, their flight got delayed. And I'm not saying Damian is like LaMarcus and go about this way, but they mentioned, they said to the team, hey, y'all want to wait for the team plane, or y'all can catch an individual and fly out your own. And LaMarcus was the only one that, I guess, took up that offer. And, you kind of sense how cold and distant that he was with that team. And got to find out, he left, and you hear the stories afterwards and stuff like that. So I hope Dame don't turn. I mean, it's not going to turn into that, but the seeds may be there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. It's just, to me, if I was Dame teammate and I heard that, I don't know. I wouldn't look at them any different. It's just that I know going into the game is like it's like going into like a preseason game. Like, yeah, we're playing, but it doesn't count. Like you're treating it as if it doesn't count. So, but best believe the Pelicans will be a team waiting for a spot. They have a lot to prove, a lot that they're motivated from. Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo over there, Derek Favors. Like, what's the guy name that they got? Can't even think his name right. The other center, rookie too.
Jackson Hayes from Texas.
Yep, Jackson Hayes. So they're pretty loaded too. Now, what's going to hurt them is experience, but I do think they find a way up in that playoff spot, in a playoff spot. I ain't gonna lie though, I'm in Tallahassee, so I might have to drive down to go to a couple games. They all gonna be in Orlando. I got to make a couple of them.
Well, I want to ask you this: with the game, all the games being in Orlando, do you see these teams? Does it affect them not having like that home court advantage, or do you see that no issue with these NBA players?
Honestly, I don't. That's a tough question. I think certain teams. I was gonna say it does affect Lakers and the Clippers, but I don't think so. Being the fact that they both are in the same city, therefore there are a lot of Clipper fans at Laker games, and there are a lot of Laker fans at Clippers games at times. So I don't think the fan thing hurt them. I think it's more so the shape that they're in that determines what the teams do and the chemistry. I think that they haven't been together so long. Some of these, teams got to get the chemistry back. Now, we're not talking about, bringing Shaq and Kobe back to have the same chemistry because they've been doing it for so long. AD and LeBron have only been working with each other for half a year or a year and some change. So they don't have that full chemistry where they can, the first couple of the games, they can go back and, be back to normal. Same with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So I think that's going to play a bigger part than the home field or the home court advantage. Now, the Magic, I guess you can say that you'll see more Magic fans, but I don't think that they're going to push the Magic to beat the Milwaukee or, sweep Milwaukee. I think that even if it being in Orlando, the better team will prevail.
I think, for these guys, I think, the home, being around your home fans and stuff like that, being at home, and, it'll be a different mindset for them. Like, okay, I we get to, wherever we play at early, get shots in, get taped up, whatever, pregame meal and stuff like that. Then you play your game, do your post-game interviews, and then get your treatment, whatever, and then you head to the crib or whatever you got to do. And now you basically are confined, to this one location, this one city. Mm-hmm. And, maybe it break up your cycle, how you do about things. I haven't read anything that, once these guys get done, games and interviews and stuff like that, they go straight to a hotel and be quarantined in their rooms. I haven't heard anything about that. Have you?
Nah, I haven't heard too much about it yet. I'm pretty sure the more and more, this information starts to come out, we'll be hearing different things. Like, at least a couple days, every couple of days. So some things are gonna be shed to light.
Because I know, I know, Florida is wide open just about. So, we don't know, what kinds of restrictions the NBA will have on these guys. So, we'll see, how everything shakes out and stuff like that. But I do want to ask you one more subject I want to ask you about. Michael Jordan is pledging $100 million for racial injustice against Black people. I know we just wrapped up talking about the Last Dance and stuff like that, and people still got the series has had a lasting impact. What you think about Michael doing this? With all the things going on, what made you think? What you thinking in your head? Like, well, he really had done this in the past, but what you think about him doing this now in this time period?
I mean, it's good. It's always good to help. I just feel like for most people, Jordan, whoever, we should have to wait till things get really rough, to make these kind of moves. I think we should do this a little bit more. But it's not a bad idea, though. It's not a bad move for him at all. It's just, the approach that could have been done from, different people is, okay, this is a scenario that's going on. You know what? I want to donate this. Now, obviously, $10 million for Michael Jordan, that's probably nothing to him. He probably seen that when he first got in the league. So it's not a bad idea, though. I definitely appreciate it. I think it's just we need to do this more. Things like this need to happen more.
With all the stuff going on and a lot of people speaking out and stuff like that, Michael's past history on these subjects, he really hasn't spoke too much out on it. And we saw in The Last Dance, like, he's a man about his brand and keeping his brand intact and not, and kind of like towing the line to a degree. And, for him to play this amount of money, $100 million, and, the comments he has said, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe this is him showing, seeing the light, I guess. This is like Michael Jordan, a guy that should be secure in his legacy, that if he does anything like this, people should not question him at all. And, we'll see what trickles out and stuff like that for him, how it trickles out to everybody and stuff like that. But, it's like wait and see for me. Like you said, this is great, but you should be doing this more.
Yeah. Definitely agree. I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on right now, so you got to be prepared to how you approach everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just ask Drew Brees.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, now you backpedaling.
Yeah, just ask Drew Brees. And before we head out, ladies and gentlemen, today is Allen Iverson's birthday. So the answer will be celebrated another year. I don't know if you know this, D-Lock, but when AI signed his Reebok deal back in the day, the person running it, I guess his financial advisor, he put $32 million in a trust fund for him that he couldn't touch till he's 55. So when he turns 55 and that $32 million sit in the bank for that amount of years, you think he'll go buck wild with it, with the money, or?
Yeah. I mean, that kind of bread, that sounds wild, to be honest.
Damn.
That's man. But see, the thing is, like, when you get that kind of money, you got to know how to break it down and not be broke as soon as you get it, because money can go by fast.
Oh, yeah. I can attest to that. It's like, if AI got that money at that young age and you set him loose, God knows, how much, what he'd be spending on stuff like that.
Man, I was just having that conversation earlier with somebody. I know having an agent is important, because an agent is somebody who I can't say agent, but a financial advisor or one in both. They can help you with those things. So to have, a mentor, financial advisor walk you through things and tell you, okay, this is where your money's going, that's a big deal. But if you don't have somebody that's doing that, you're gonna treat it like you're on Grand Theft Auto, and you're just gonna spend money and think that it's gonna come back to you and it's gonna be gone. Like, taxes and buying stuff, you do have to pay the taxes and the mortgages on some of these houses. Different things like that. So you invest $1 million or whatever to your friend or your cousin or your family's business, and it doesn't go anywhere. And you're just like, oh, it's just $1 million. Well, hell, that $1 million could have went towards something else.
Yeah. So, I did want to bring that up. One of my favorite AI memories or favorite, moments of him. Granted, I am a Laker fan. Him having that Game 1 Finals game against the Lakers in 2001, that was a great memory of him. Not backing down from the Lakers, still going at it, scoring 40 plus points. And just surprisingly taking that Game 1 from the Lakers, and if the Lakers had won that game, they'd have been like 16-0 in that playoff run, and they'd still be talked about as one of the greatest championship teams ever. But that one little blemish right there, and AI was that guy that kind of stopped that. What was your favorite?
Yeah.
What were your favorite moves of AI?
Obviously stepping over Tyronn Lue. Like that by itself would just set off everything. Obviously the practice, but him, stepping over AI, just Tyronn Lue was just like for a moment, it felt like it was a one-on-one matchup to me. It gave me goosebumps because it's like, he just served this man. So that was very, one of the moments that I would never forget. Obviously, his shoes are one of the better Reeboks. I don't really wear Reeboks like that, but if I were to buy Reeboks, it would be either the Reebok Classics that we used to wear in middle school or Allen Iverson shoes.
Oh yeah, I never copped those Reeboks, but I always enamored with them. So, and during that time, I mean, you can argue he's one of the faces of the league, and he was Reebok at that time. So I mean, you can't deny that from him at all. But before we go, and before we go, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to plug these other shows for the week here at IE Sports Radio Network. Thursday, June 11th at 4 p.m., we got Not What It Seems with Caitlin Syme, talking about all sports and a little bit, little other subjects she sprinkles in. So, and whatever creative thing she got in her mind that, she presents to y'all now and then. So please do check her out. She's very unique. She's very fun. So please, give her a listen at 4 p.m. on Thursday. Also, Thursday, 7 p.m., The Extra Mile with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Caitlin Syme again and Michael Ward. All things auto sports. NASCAR is up and running. IndyCar is up as well. D-Lock, I was out to eat last Sunday. I was watching on Fox. They were watching this motorcycle race. And these guys are going like 11 laps, like strong and hard in the paint. And these two dudes like wrecked on top of each other because when you race on motorcycles, they get so low sometimes that their weight kind of carries over. Well, these two dudes got so low and close to each other, they wrecked into each other and they like slid like a few feet and close to the wall. And they got up like it's cool. I was like, damn, y'all ain't hurt?
Yeah, nah.
And they just got up.
I stood on the ground.
I mean, I was like, oh shit. I'd be in shock and laying on the ground, just looking in the heavens, like, oh Jesus, come get me.
Yeah.
I was like,
Pain too.
oh yes. So check them out. You know, they do a recap of the IndyCar Genesis 300 from Texas and the NASCAR, you know, Foes of Honor 500 from Atlanta. So check them out this Thursday at 7 p.m. 9 p.m. Bases Loaded with Brandon Buckingham and Blake Henley. All things baseball. I don't know when the MLB is going to get back and rolling. They've been, I don't know, D. Like we talked about this in the past. It's like we don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
It'll be interesting just to see how things play out.
And then you talking about dudes wanting that money in full and stuff like that. You know,
this is the thing when you say yes to one thing. It's not a bad thing, but when you say yes to one thing, it's kind of like you ever threw. I was always told never throw bread at birds. The reason why is because even though you see one bird that may pick up the bread, like a couple minutes, you're gonna see like 5, 10. You know what I'm saying? Like more. It's the same thing as when you answer a question or you approve of something. Now these other questions, well, since you approved this, can you do this as well? Well, since you approved that, can you approve that as well? They're not gonna take a no. So that's what happens when you make that big decision, and it's gonna be tough to make those.
So I'm pretty sure Brandon and Blake will talk about that on Friday night show. So please give them a listen and check that out on Friday here at ICE Sports Radio. On Friday, June this 12th at 2 p.m., Gabriel Montoya, the soccer scoreboard, all things soccer. I know the leagues in Europe has gone back into playing, so I'm pretty sure he'll be discussing that. And, you know, I saw a few soccer players had taken like a knee in solidarity what's going on here in the States. So I'm pretty sure he may touch on that as well. So give him a listen, 2 p.m. on Friday. And then the Neutral Zone with Robert Kavanaugh, all things hockey. I'm sure Mr. Kavanaugh will be talking about the NFJ playoffs, breaking it down, see who's going to maybe come out on top. And, you know, in which the NBA should have did, but, you know, and see, you know, how the NHL season finishes out. So that's the Neutral Zone, 9 p.m. on Friday. Check him out. D-Lock, how can the people find you on social media?
You definitely can find me at Black-813 on Instagram and Twitter. I just fired my YouTube back up. Just posted a video last week about the off-season moves that my Buccaneers have made, including drafting Tristan Wirfs and also getting Tom Brady, Gronk, those different players. So definitely talked about that last week. Make sure y'all check that out. Just type in my name, Dentarius Locke, Dentarius, Locke with the E. And you definitely see that video. Make sure you subscribe, drop comments, likes, dislikes. I will take anything that you guys send. Let them know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Spawn4288. You can find me on there. You can find the Crooks Process. That's my other podcast on Facebook and Instagram. I'll post when I do a broadcast. You can find me on there. Please do check out iSportsRadio.com for all your latest news and updates on shows. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, the NBA is back, so we'll have a load of stuff to talk about and breaking down news that come out this week. But until then, y'all take care. Have a good night.
Out.